almost spilled my coffee this morning because something unbelievable happened with my crypto portfolio. My long-time underdog, XRP, suddenly became the hero of the week, and trust me, nobody saw this one coming. So here I am, an ordinary guy who's been holding XRP through thick and thin, waking up to XRP at the top of the charts, and yes, you heard that right. After years of being kind of the butt of jokes and the punching bag of a certain government agency, XRP just outperformed every other major crypto over the past week. Now, how on earth did that happen? Well, grab a seat and maybe secure your beverage because I have a story for you. It's a wild ride that involves presidential drama, a plot twist in a courtroom saga, and a kind of personal rollercoaster of emotions in between. And by the end, even Bitcoin was left in the dust. So let me set the stage. At the start of this week, I was not a happy camper. Crypto markets were looking shaky again. News had broken about President Trump's latest tariff updates and, it kind of hit the markets like a ton of bricks. Now, apparently, even in 2025, a trade war scare can even send Bitcoin and its friends tumbling. Now, I remember checking my phone on Monday morning and seeing a sea of red. Everything was just down. Bitcoin was slipping, Ethereum too, and XRP was struggling after a 3.9% drop the week before. Now, my dear XRP was still licking its wounds. I sighed, I took a sip of my coffee, the one that I would later almost spill, and braced myself for another rough week. Now, I am no stranger to XRP drama. I've held this coin through times when it felt like everyone was yelling, just sell it already. But remember, right, when XRP got delisted from a bunch of exchanges back in the day, I held through all of that, even doubling down. I've heard every meme in the book from XRP the standard to XRP the lawsuit coin. So if there's one thing that I've learned, it's patience. Now, or maybe even stubbornness, I should say, right? Still, starting the week in the red again had me feeling a bit like Charlie Brown trying to kick that old football, only for lucky, or in this particular case the market, to just yank it away. But then, as Tuesday rolled into Wednesday, something strange and started to happen, right? I noticed XRP wasn't sliding further. In fact, it was doing this slow, steady climb. It was nothing huge, of course, just a % here and a % over there, almost kind of like there was sneaking up while no one was actually paying attention. Meanwhile, of course, other coins were still nursing their tariff-induced bruises. Now I thought, that's interesting. My inner skeptic said, don't get your hopes up. It's probably nothing. I've seen dead cat bounces before, after all. Turns out it was nothing, right? On Wednesday afternoon, I got excited. I got an excited ping on my phone, and it was our free, Discord community. Shameless plug, of course. It's an educational Discord. The link is in the description if you want to join all the fun. Now, anyway, it was blowing up with messages over there, right? Someone had tagged me in a flurry of rocket emojis. Did you see the news? I kind of fumbled on my phone, heart kind of starting to race. You have to understand here, crypto moves fast, right? But crypto news moves even faster. And our Discord folk, well, they were on top of things. Anyway, I scroll and I find it, a link to an article, a screenshot of a legal document. The headline might as well kind of have been just giant neon kind of letters, right? The SEC and Ripple had dismissed their approvals. I kind of blinked once, twice. Is it real? Right, I immediately dove into the details. It turns out that the Securities and Exchange Commission and Ripple Labs, the people, who've been kind of locked in a courtroom showdown, over XRP status, had apparently asked the court to dismiss their appeals. In other words, both sides are basically saying, all right, let's put the end to the fight. Now, if you're not a legal nerd like some of us in the Discord, this is actually huge. For years, the uncertainty around the SEC lawsuit has been a dark cloud over XRP. It's kind of like trying to run a race with £100 backpack on you, right? Investors, they hated uncertainty, and boy, That lawsuit was the mother of all uncertainties. One minute XRP is a security according to the SEC, and the next minute judges saying no, not so fast. Right? Appeals were filed, more waiting, more uncertainty, and for a long time it felt like Lucy I should say, and the old football, over again, right? Maybe this time we would actually kick it, maybe not. And now, right, now it looked like the game might finally be over, right? Dismissing the appeals would mean a landmark court decision, the one where a judge basically said XRP sales on exchanges were not securities. It might actually stand for good. Now that's a kind of as close as I guess XRP is to going to be to free, right? As we've ever gotten before. So to an XRP holder like me, this news is like waking up on Christmas morning and finding the gift that you've been begging for 3 years, right? Now I'm pretty sure that I let out a very unprofessional yelp of joy on that Wednesday afternoon. The good thing is that I work from home. Right now, I needed to see, what the market was doing. Like yesterday, I pulled up my trading app of choice. This is Kraken Pro on my laptop. Quick side note, I always use Kraken Pro for buying and selling cryptocurrency assets. It's pretty solid. And if you're looking for a reliable exchange, I have an affiliate link that's in the description for Kraken Pro. So using that link helps support the channel here. So big thanks if you do go ahead and use it. Anyway, the chart for XRP USD was, a kind of sight to behold. It was as if XRP had just shot out of a cannon. The price was rocketing upwards and the trading volume was off the charts. Now, in a matter of hours, XRP had jumped significantly. I watched it go from the low $3 range to around $3.30. My jaw literally dropping. I mean, I've seen XRP move, but this was something else. So let me kind of paint the picture then, right? XRP was up something like 11% just during the week's span. And this is a coin with a huge market cap. So at the price, XRP's market capitalization was around that $196 billion. And yes, that was with a B. Now, that kind of valuation makes XRP the third largest cryptocurrency, snapping at Ethereum's heels. For context, at $196 billion, XRP is worth more than many Fortune 500 companies. It's not some tiny little altcoin that can pump on a whim. It takes serious momentum to move XRP like that. And here it was, moving like it had point to prove. Now, at this point, I'm feeling a mix of euphoria and vindication. Euphoria because, hey, green numbers are a rush. And vindication because after all of this time, I've had people tell me that XRP is dead or that your coin is never going anywhere. And here it is leading the entire market for the week. I couldn't resist, but I did hop back into the Discord voice chat and it was absolute chaos. People were cheering, a few, in happy disbelief. One long-term community member joked that he had finally told his wife that their XRP bag might actually put their kids through college. And we all kind of have a laugh because, well, it's a pretty, wild joke, right? Partly a crazy thought that suddenly doesn't seem so crazy anymore. But hold on. Before this turns into a full-on victory lap, let's inject some responsibility here, right? We've got to talk about the fine print of being a crypto enthusiast, especially now. And this one might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right, I had to say that. I mean it too, right? Because as much as I'm celebrating this XRP win, the road has been anything but smooth and it can get bumpy once again. In fact, right after that pump, I was half expecting some kind of correction. Crypto has a kind of way of humbling you the moment that you start feeling like an absolute genius. So yeah, I'm thrilled, but I'm also keeping my feet on the ground. Now, Let's get into the part where XRP officially kind of wears the crown then, right? At least for last week, right? The very next day, Grayscale dropped their weekly crypto snapshot. Think of this report as a weekly leaderboard of the top 10 cryptocurrencies, excluding stablecoins. It's basically Grayscale saying, here's who had a great week and who not so much. And guess who was sitting at the very top of that list? That was our old friend XRP, number 1, best performing asset of the week. Now I saw that and literally did a fist pump in my living room. Let's run through the stats then, because it wasn't just a narrow win. XRP kind of absolutely crushed it. Now, according to Grayscale's data, XRP gained about 9.7% over the week. Now that was more than any of the other big boys and girls of crypto. To kind of put it into perspective, the second place was Stellar's XLM with about 1.9% gain. Close, but no cigar. Sorry, Stellar. Maybe next time. Now, Cardano came in third with a 6.3% gain. Also respectable, but not in XRP's league this time around. Then we had the usual suspects. Dogecoin 6.1, Ethereum 5.8, Tron and Solana in the 4% range. And here is the kicker. Bitcoin was near the bottom with just a 1.5% uptick. 1.5%. Now that's basically flat by crypto standards. I had to kind of rub my eyes when I saw that chart, right? Bitcoin's near the bottom, XRP at the top, rounding out the list. Right, 9th was BNB at 0.5% gain, and 10th place was Hyperliquid, right, which could have logged a 0% change for the week. Now, even a coin literally named Hype had no hype that week, while XRP stole the show. It's kind of like the crypto universe flipped upside down for just a moment. XRP was the star quarterback, Bitcoin was just warming up the bench, and it's not just about one report either, it symbolizes something much bigger. XRP's year-to-date return is now around 59%. That is huge. It means that if you held XRP from January until now, you're nearly 60% growth on that bag. Now, I can't help but reflect on the journey that got us here, right? Flashback to early 2021, right? The SEC slapped Ripple with that lawsuit late 2020, and XRP's price fell off a cliff, right? Exchanges delisted it. It was kind of piranha of crypto for quite a while, right? I remember staring at my account, seeing XRP down like 20 cents, 17 cents, and feeling sick to my stomach, but still knew I had to double in. And friends of mine were telling me to just cut my losses whilst I was just adding more to my position, right? Some, of course, did, they sold and moved on to other projects. I almost did, I guess, but I'm not going to lie about it. But something about the tech, or maybe just the sheer stubbornness, kept me holding and dollar cost averaging into a bigger position. Fast forward to July of 2023, a bombshell court ruling, Judge Torres' decision. Suddenly, a partial victory for Ripple. XRP wasn't deemed a security for retail sales, and exchanges began relisting it. It was a glorious moment. XRP, something that kind of doubled in a day, right? But even then, we knew that the fight might not actually be over because the SEC hinted at appeals. And sure enough, the legal back and forth continued into 2024 and early 2025. But last week's events, kind of the news that both sides are effectively throwing in the towel on the appeals, well, that's the moment that we've actually been waiting for. Does that mean that XRP's path is clear to clear skies from here? Not necessarily, of course, right? Crypto will always find new ways to kind of worry about, right? But one giant weight was, of course, lifted off of XRP's shoulders, and the market reacted accordingly. Now, I do have to mention here that by the time that you watch this, prices probably have changed, right? In crypto, the only constant is change. So by the time this video goes live, who knows? Maybe Bitcoin will have its revenge, or some other coin will take the spotlight. Maybe XRP will cool off a little bit after this big run. Remember, right? Even big rallies often see some kind of profit taking. So in my case, I didn't sell a single XRP last week, right? Because my eyes are on a much bigger prize. Now, I did treat myself to at least in another way though, right? After seeing XRP hit all-time highs, or I say weekly highs, going after and still has all-time highs in its sights, I went out and I bought myself a fancy cup of coffee, like a celebratory latte with extra whipped cream and all of that. They smell small kind of reward, if you will, for surviving all of the stress. And as I kind of sat there sipping it, I thought about where we might actually go from here. Let's talk about Ripple expanding partnerships again, maybe more banks using XRP for cross-border transfers like the original version, or vision, I should say, right? If regulatory clarity is truly achieved in the United States, perhaps some institutional money will be, that's been sitting on the sidelines, will actually finally dip their toes into XRP. But hey, it's not too ahead of ourselves here, right? 1 week at the top is awesome, but I'm also not declaring XRP the champion of the year just yet, right? We still have a lot of 2025 left, and if this space has taught me anything, it's that we should be expecting the unexpected, right? For all we know, next week Elon Musk changes his Twitter logo back to a Dogecoin Shiba, and suddenly Dogecoin is mooning once again. Now, what I do know is that this week reminded me of why we got into the space in the first place, right? It's not just about the potential gains, but it's for the sheer thrill of being part of a technological revolution with an unpredictable storyline, right? XRP's storyline just had a major plot development as well, and it went from, courtroom uncertainty to market superstar in the span of just a few days. Now, you better believe that I'm sticking around for the next chapter, popcorn in hand, maybe coffee placed far away from my keyboard this time. Now, if you're new to XRP or crypto in general, welcome to the carnival. It's not always this upbeat. There are quiet weeks, there's even scary weeks, but moments like this, they kind of make us, at least make the ride kind of worth it, right? Just remember that disclaimer that I gave you earlier though, right? Keep your wits about you, do your own research and be prepared for anything. As for me, I'm just happy that I got to share this crazy week with you all, right? It kind of felt like a personal victory here, but also a community victory, right? Seeing the support and the excitement in the Discord, on X, and even in the Kraken Pro order books, right? It made it so much more fun, I guess, right? And crypto, of course, can be rather lonely, right? A journey in itself, right? Specifically if you are all by yourself. So seriously, if you haven't already, join our free Discord server. It's a great place to learn, ask questions, celebrate the wins, and commiserate when things go south. All right, I think we're about to wrap things up for this roller coaster of a story. What a week for XRP, huh? Well, I'm super curious to see what the next week kind of brings us, right? Not just for XRP, but for the whole crypto market. Will XRP be climbing the leaderboards or take a bit of a breather? Will Bitcoin wake up from its nap? Or the only way to really find out any of this is to stick around and see, right? I'll be here, right, to talk you through whatever craziness comes. So for now, why don't you hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and don't miss the next chapter. I'll see you in the next video.